I want you to picture a scenario. It's Friday night.
The best time of the week.
Right. You have a long week. You've got the popcorn ready.
Right.
Maybe the lights are dimmed.
Getting the vibe right.
Exactly. So you grab the remote and open up one of the big streaming apps. You know the ones, the red one or the blue one.
Sure.
And you just start scrolling.
Ah, the dreaded infinite scroll.
Yeah. You scroll past the top 10 in the US, which is usually just whatever, superhero movie came out last month.
Yeah.
You scroll past trending now. You scroll past the generic comedies. And 20 minutes later,
Your popcorn is cold.
it's completely cold, and you realize you haven't found a single thing you actually want to watch.
It's the classic paradox of choice, really.
Yeah.
We have access to, more content than any humans in history.
Yeah.
Yet the algorithm is designed to feed us what everyone else likes.
Yeah.
Not necessarily what we crave. It's a volume game, not a taste game.
Right. And that's fine if you want to watch a blockbuster. But let's say your taste is specific. Let's say you are absolutely obsessed with spine-chilling, hair-curling horror.
Okay, really intense stuff.
Yeah. And I don't mean the stuff playing at the multiplex. I'm talking about the deep cuts, the obscure, dark, psychological stuff that maybe makes you sleep with the lights on for a week.
The kind of movies that are, too niche or too weird or, frankly, too terrifying for a mainstream algorithm to recommend to a general audience.
Exactly. If that's you, the big apps are kind of useless. You're wandering in a desert of romantic comedies looking for a jump scare.
It's a tough spot to be in as a fan.
It is. But, and this is where today's deep dive begins, there is a solution. We are looking at a platform called Scaryo.
Which is just a great name, by the way.
It really is.
Yeah.
Scaryo is a streaming service dedicated entirely, and I mean entirely, to this horror and thriller niche.
Right.
But here is the thing. We aren't just going to talk about scary movies today.
No, because while Scaryo is a fascinating service for fans, the real story here is the business. It's the technology.
Yeah.
Because if you stop and think about it for a second, how does a small team actually build a Netflix competitor?
That's the million-dollar question. I mean,
Yeah.
usually if you want smooth playback, apps on your smart TV, secure payments, and a library of thousands of movies,
That used to require millions in venture capital.
at least.
You'd need a massive engineering team, server farms, entire legal departments. It was an exclusive club.
Right.
But the Scaryo case study, and specifically their partnership with a technology platform called Muvi One, proves that the walls of that club are basically crumbling.
So the mission for this deep dive is to explore the Scaryo case study. We want to understand how the barrier to entry for building a streaming empire has basically vanished.
Yeah.
We're going to look at how a limited initial team managed to launch a platform that functions like a tech giant.
This is really a story about the democratization of OTT, or over-the-top, technology.
Yep.
It's about how passion projects can now scale up to global businesses without writing a single line of code.
Let's start with the what. Who are these guys? Scaryo defines itself as a VOD, a video-on-demand platform strictly for horror enthusiasts.
They're trying to be everything to everyone.
Exactly.
And that's the first lesson here. Specialization. In a world of infinite generic content, specific curation is the new king.
Right.
Their library consists of over 1,000 titles, focusing on cult classics and dark-themed horror.
The source material actually says these are films that remain absent from top 100 lists, which, if you're a horror buff, is actually a huge selling point.
Absolutely. You're paying for discovery, you want the deep cuts.
Precisely. But here is where the business challenge kicks in. They aren't trying to conquer the whole world at once. They have a very specific geographic focus.
Right, the Nordic region.
Yeah. They are laser-focused on Denmark, the Faroe Islands, Greenland, Iceland, and Sweden.
That creates a really interesting tension.
How so?
Well, you have a limited initial team. You have a library of 1,000 obscure movies. And you're trying to stream them to people in Nuuk, Greenland, and Stockholm, Sweden, simultaneously.
Yeah, that sounds like a logistical nightmare.
It is. It's the tension between curation and technology. Scaryo had the soft asset, meaning they secured the rights to these 1,000 films.
Right.
But holding the rights is very different from physically and legally delivering those pixels to an iPhone in Reykjavik.
Right, you can't just put the movie files in a Dropbox folder, share the link, and hope for the best.
You definitely can't do that.
Yeah.
They faced massive hurdles. First is just volume. Managing a library that size requires a robust content management system, or CMS.
Let's break that down for everyone listening. When we say CMS in this context, what are we actually talking about?
Think of it like a digital library card catalog, but on steroids.
Okay.
You aren't just uploading a video file. You have to manage the movie poster artwork, the cast list, the director info, the synopsis, the year of release, and the subtitles.
Right.
And you have to do that for over 1,000 titles. If your system is clunky, just the data entry alone could take years.
And then you have the localization issue.
Yeah.
Because they are targeting the Nordics, they needed to serve both Danish and English-speaking audiences.
Exactly. You can't just have a static website in English if you're trying to win the Danish market. The entire interface, the buttons, the menus, the checkout flow needs to be able to toggle between languages seamlessly.
But the big hurdle, and this is the one that always scares me when I think about digital content, is security.
Oh, yeah.
If I'm an indie horror director and I give Scaryo the exclusive rights to my movie, and the next day I find it on a pirate torrent site, I'm going to sue them.
You absolutely would.
Yeah.
And that is the existential threat for any streaming business. They need a digital rights management, or DRM.
We hear DRM a lot. Can we do a quick I'm 5 on that. What is DRM actually doing technically?
Sure. Think of DRM as a digital handshake and a locked briefcase. When you press play on a movie, your device talks to the server. The server asks, does this person have a valid ticket or subscription?
Right.
If the answer is yes, the server sends the video. But, and this is the key, it sends the video inside a locked digital briefcase.
Ah, I see.
The DRM is the key that opens the briefcase only while you are watching it within the app. It prevents you from copying that stream, screen recording it, or saving the file to your hard drive.
So it's not just a password, it's encryption on the video file itself.
Exactly. And building that lock and key infrastructure from scratch. That requires encryption experts and server-side verification. Usually, building a secure, multi-language, DRM-protected video delivery system is a job for 50 engineers, not a handful of horror fans.
And this is where the plot twist happens. They didn't hire 50 engineers.
No, they did.
They didn't build a server farm. They used Muvi One.
Right. Muvi One describes itself as an end-to-end platform builder.
I've heard it described as the Lego set for streaming.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Or think of it like Shopify, but for Netflix. Shopify lets you build an online store without knowing how to code a shopping cart.
Yeah.
Muvi lets you build a streaming service without knowing how to code a video player.
So let's look at how they use these Legos to solve the problems we just listed. We talked about the nightmare of uploading 1,000 movies. How did Muvi handle that?
They used a feature called bulk upload.
Which sounds pretty straightforward.
It sounds mundane, but operationally, it's a lifesaver. It allowed Scaryo to ingest the metadata and video files in massive batches.
Wow.
This meant the team could focus on their actual job, curating the horror movies and writing great descriptions, rather than staring at progress bars for 6 months.
And what about the geography issue? Because the rights for these movies are often sold country by country. If Scaryo accidentally shows a movie in the US that they only have rights for in Sweden, they're in big legal trouble.
Major trouble. This is where a feature called geo-blocking comes in. Muvi allowed them to draw a digital fence around those specific countries, Denmark, Iceland, and so on.
Okay.
If an IP address from outside that fence tries to access the content, the door is simply locked. It handles the legal compliance automatically.
So the tech is basically acting as the bouncer at the door.
Exactly. And it does it in real time.
Now, there's another acronym in the source material that I think is important, CDN. They mention Muvi provides the CDN. Why does that matter to me as a viewer?
CDN stands for Content Delivery Network. Imagine you are in Greenland, but the server holding the movie is in California.
That's a long way for a signal to travel.
Right. It has to travel halfway around the world. That causes buffering. The movie stutters. You get frustrated and quit.
The spinning wheel of death.
The absolute enemy of streaming. A CDN copies that movie to servers all over the world. So when you press play in Greenland, you're actually streaming it from a server nearby, maybe in Iceland or Denmark.
Oh, I see.
Muvi includes this infrastructure out of the box. So Scaryo didn't have to negotiate deals with server farms. They just flipped a switch, and suddenly their content was fast globally.
That is genuinely amazing. It feels like we've moved from a world where technology was the barrier to a world where the only barrier is having a good idea.
That's the shift. It turns a capital-intensive tech problem into a manageable operational task.
So we've got the movies, we've got the speed, we've got the security, but let's talk about the money.
Always comes down to the money.
Because hair-curling movies are fun, but Scaryo is a business. How are they actually turning these niche viewers into revenue?
This is where the flexibility of the platform gets really interesting. They aren't stuck with just one model.
Okay.
According to the case study,
Mm.
Scaryo utilizes Muvi's built-in monetization modules for two things, SVOD and PPV.
Let's break those down. SVOD is subscription video on demand. That's your classic 10 bucks a month model, right?
Correct. That provides your recurring revenue, your bread and butter. It gives general access to the main library.
Got it.
But the second one, PPV or pay-per-view, is arguably more important for a niche like this.
Why is that? I feel like as a user, I hate paying extra fees. Wouldn't you want everything included in the subscription?
In a general sense, yes. But remember, they are offering exclusive single premiere content.
Ah, okay.
Let's say Scaryo secures the Nordic premiere of a highly anticipated indie horror film.
Yeah.
It has buzz, it has a cult following. If they just dump that into the general subscription bucket, they are leaving money on the table.
I see. So they can treat it like a digital cinema ticket.
Exactly. They can gate that specific premiere behind a one-time ticket price.
That makes sense.
This captures the superfans, the users who are willing to pay extra for immediate access. It allows them to monetize their cult classics differently from their new hits.
And the tech support's doing both simultaneously.
Yes. And that's the key. You don't have to build a separate ticket booth and a separate membership desk. The platform handles the entitlements seamlessly. A user can be a subscriber and still buy a ticket for a special event, all within the same app.
We should also mention the user experience here. We talked about localization earlier. The platform supports both Danish and English versions.
Which Muvi handled technically? For the user, it's seamless.
Right.
But for the business, it's vital. If you're in Denmark, you want the interface to feel local. That trust factor is huge when you're asking people for credit card details on a new platform.
So we've established that Scaryo is running smoothly with these tools. They're finding the movies, and the Lego set is handling the rest.
Yep.
But I want to zoom out a bit, because looking through the Muvi One materials, it seems like they aren't just resting on their laurels with basic streaming tools. There is a whole other layer here involving artificial intelligence.
Yes. This is where we look at where the industry as a whole is going. Muvi has an ecosystem called Alley AI,
Right.
which they bill as the world's first streaming-focused AI engine.
I looked at the feature list for Ally, and frankly, some of this stuff sounds like superpowers for a small team.
It really is a force multiplier. Take
Got
the AI subtitles and translation feature. Alley can auto-generate subtitles in over 75 languages.
Just pause on that for a second. 75 languages. If Scaryo wanted to expand from the Nordics to, say, South America, traditionally they would have to hire human translators for every single one of their 1,000 movies.
The cost would be astronomical. It would be entirely prohibitive. You simply wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But with AI, the cost of localization drops to near zero. A platform in Sweden can instantly make its original content accessible to viewers in Brazil or Japan. It effectively dissolves the language barrier as a business constraint.
There's another feature listed here that I found kind of hilarious given our horror topic, AI compliance.
Automating the censors?
Exactly, but seriously, imagine having to manually watch 1,000 hours of horror movies to flag every instance of gore, nudity, or violence to meet local laws in 5 different countries.
It's a tedious, time-consuming job.
Yeah.
And if you miss one frame, you could get fined or banned in certain rigorous markets.
That's a huge risk.
It is. AI scans the video and flags inappropriate content automatically based on the region's rules.
So it knows that country A allows blood but no nudity, and country B allows nudity but no violence.
Exactly. And it tags the metadata accordingly. This is crucial for horror, where the line between thriller and banned content is extremely thin.
It also mentions smart metadata and AI dubbing. It seems like the goal here is to remove humans from the operational grunt work entirely.
That's the strategic shift. Smart metadata is a sleeper hit feature, in my opinion.
Really? Why?
Well, for a library of 1,000 titles, someone has to write the synopsis, tag the actors, tag the genre, tag the mood. If the AI can analyze the video and autofill those tags, you've just saved hundreds of man hours.
And you've probably improved discoverability, too. Humans get lazy with tags. AI doesn't.
True. It means when a user searches for a psychological thriller with a cabin in the woods, the search engine actually finds it.
So if we connect this back to Scaryo's limited team, tools like Alley AI mean that a small team isn't just managing the platform. They are operating at a level of sophistication that used to require armies of people.
It completely changes the unit economics of the business. You don't need a compliance department. You have an AI. You don't need a localization team. You have an AI.
Wow.
It frees up the humans to do the one thing AI can't do, have good taste. It lets them focus on finding the next great horror movie.
Now, we've been talking a lot about horror because, frankly, Scaryo is a cool example, but looking at the Muvi One client list, this isn't just for scary movies, is it?
Far from it. This technology is totally industry agnostic.
Right.
The source material lists use cases in education. Think of building your own Udemy or masterclass. Religion, fitness, sports, even government.
I saw a mention of the Fort Smith International Film Festival. That caught my eye.
That's a great example of a phygital event.
Phygital?
Physical and digital.
Ah, got it.
They used a FeatureCon playout. It allowed them to mimic the actual schedule of the festival digitally. So if a film was screening at 8 p.m. in the physical theater, it would automatically start streaming at 8 p.m. on the app.
That creates a real shared experience.
Wow.
It's not just VOD, it's appointment viewing.
Exactly. And then you have clients like Pickbox, which is an SVOD service in the Adria regions handling original European productions. The mechanics are the same, whether you are streaming a church service, a yoga class, or a film festival.
You still need the same basic tools.
Right. You need a secure player, you need to manage subscriptions, and you need apps on the TV.
And speaking of apps on the TV, we touched on this earlier, but they emphasize the ability to build for Roku, Samsung TV, Fire TV, Apple TV, all from one place, this no-code reality.
That is the final piece of the puzzle. Being on the web is fine, but the living room war is where the real engagement happens.
For sure.
If you are a fitness instructor, you want your content on the big screen in the user's living room, not just on their laptop. Muvi allows you to deploy native apps to all those ecosystems simultaneously.
Why is that native app distinction so important? Can I just cast my phone screen to my TV?
You can, but it's friction. Having an actual icon on the Apple TV home screen right next to Netflix and Hulu, that signals legitimacy.
It makes it feel real.
Exactly. That psychological parity is worth its weight in gold. It tells the user, this is a real premium service.
So let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway here? If I'm listening to this and I'm not necessarily planning to launch a horror channel, why does this matter to me?
I think the takeaway is a fundamental shift in the philosophy of media.
Okay.
For the last decade, we've heard content is king, but I think we are moving to an era where niche community is king.
How so?
You don't need 100 million generic subscribers who kind of like your content. You need a dedicated audience who absolutely loves what you love.
That makes a lot of sense.
The technology movie, the AI, the apps has become a commodity. It's cheap and accessible. The scarcity now isn't the tech, it's the community.
It's almost like the unbundling of television taken to its logical conclusion. We went from 50 cable channels to 5 big streaming apps, and now we might be moving to 5,000 microchannels.
Precisely. Scaryo identified a gap. Horror gems. They faced a tech hurdle. How to build a secure app. And they used a platform builder to launch quickly with professional features.
They didn't have to reinvent the wheel.
Right. They just had to drive the car.
And that aha moment really hits when you look at the call to action in the source material. It literally says, try Muvi One for free for 14 days.
It's wild.
It is wild to think that the infrastructure used by giants is now accessible to anyone with a 14-day free trial.
It creates a world where the best curator wins.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the company with the biggest server farm.
So here's my final thought for you listening right now. We've seen how Scaryo did it. We've seen the tools.
Yep.
If the technology handles the hosting, and the AI handles the subtitles, and the platform handles the billing, what niche passion of yours is just waiting for its own streaming service?
I'm still holding out hope for that 2047 channel dedicated to vintage toaster repair.
You know what? With 75 languages and global distribution, there's probably a massive audience for that somewhere. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Always a pleasure.
See you next time.